Hi, leftist black sheep here. Been off for a while. Was ill, still ill, bad stomach cramps. Notice I'm talking a bit more quietly than usual, maybe not. But what I wanted to talk about today, I thought I would just, make sure I get a video. So I sort of said to myself, I'm going to do this consistently. Is I want to talk about taxes, and specifically about the right libertarian view on taxes. There's a big difference between left libertarian and right libertarian. Where right libertarian want less taxes, left libertarian generally want more taxes. They want to make sure that those taxes are spent on things that are good for the average person, and help keep the economy and society stable. So I think when people think about taxes, they think this is money that's going to the government. Of course, it is, but that's not really how we should look at it. You should look at it as when our society creates something. If we're to create a road, sometimes art exhibitions, all of those things, taxes go into it. Essentially, you do need taxes to be paid at some level, right? I mean, law enforcement need to be paid. So if we're going to go to the basic level, what taxes need to pay for, it's basically everything the government does. So first of all, politicians' salaries, they're not paying themselves. In fact, if they're paying themselves, that means they're making money off their policies, which is not what you want. We need law enforcement and emergency services, police, fire brigade, ambulances, hospitals, and so on. Infrastructure, roads, bridges, the base up that allows us to commute, because private roads are also really bad because they are poorly made. Not long ago in America, we saw bridge collapse because a company didn't want to spend additional money on building, on fixing a bridge after they were finished with it. You get toll roads as well, which is extra money. In general, the quality of work is poor because, on average. So, of course, those are the fundamentals you need. And, okay, so then the question becomes, okay, so how much of that should be done by the government and how much of that should be done by companies and people? And this is where I think I have to make a huge point about services. You see, corporations and companies, whilst individuals may donate money to healthcare and so on, they might, companies might all put their money into a pot and help fix a road or something the government's not fixing. They'll be paying a company to do it. At the end of the day, these things require companies, and companies work to make money. Those that don't work to make money fail if they go beyond the local business. And even then, in the local business, they will get taken over by the big, now invasive corporations. So, what you want is you want the objective to be make a good road. You want the objective to, be these very basic, to succeed and do a good job. And that's what the government needs to do, because the government isn't answerable to money, it's answerable to the people. If the current council here in the UK, I know it looks slightly different in America, but let's say the Bristol City Council, where I live, is, as always, actually run by Labour. And then they're just shit at fixing all the roads. They keep breaking apart. Potholes appear shortly after. They're not fixing enough roads. They're being slow. They're being disruptive. That means that they'll get kicked out because people want their roads to be fixed. Whereas if you get corporations to do that, then those corporations are no longer answerable. Which is why you want high quality, rather than, it being done quickly for money. and especially for law enforcement as well. It's had disastrous effects in America. Um, that the police are, the war on drugs, where people are being tricked into selling marijuana and then getting arrested for it. Private prison systems, using what is known to be patently failing rehabilitation systems, but they're being kept in because that keeps them in lockup, which means the companies get paid more. It becomes incredibly dangerous when corporations are trusted to do the jobs of government, which is why you keep it to, which is why some things have to be done by the government. The question then becomes, okay, so beyond those basics, education, healthcare, and social services, I think, are the main three. And military. Those are the four where it's variable how much the government is involved. Military is slightly different because that's how big of a military do you want, and it's something I give right-wing libertarians a lot of credit for a lot of the time because they are anti-war, they are anti-interventionist. I would say, however, is then you should not be voting for the Conservatives if that's a serious issue for you, because in every state they have by far the biggest militaries. They pay for weapons you don't need, do strikes you don't want. What just happened in Syria, which was an international relations disaster, and ended up bombing an anti-venom factory rather than a chemical weapons factory. We know it wasn't a chemical weapons factory because we had people in there checking chemical weapons weren't being made. Basic shit, basically. So let's take healthcare, for example. So, like I said at the beginning, it's not just you paying for stuff, because obviously if you put money into healthcare, the healthcare comes back to you. And here's the interesting thing. If the government pays for healthcare in a single payer system, or even a Medicaid or Medicare system, in America, it actually saves money for the government, because the government isn't having to subsidize private stuff. But what's fascinating is it's cheaper for the individual, because you're paying a bit in taxes, but because it's the government negotiating and not for-profit companies, it's cheaper. The quality of healthcare is higher because now healthcare is no longer for profit, but now answerable to the people. I mean, that's huge. I was really ill. And the quality of care, the quality of care is better. And okay, and the big thing was death panels. That's a big right wing. What I hear a lot of the time from right wing libertarians. Is the idea of death panels. Well, the government chooses who lives and dies. Well, you also have that in private systems. I would refer you to an article if you can look for it. It's not hard to find, about a woman who was denied health care because the company said she had cancerous skin lesions, which was actually acne. There were no cancerous skin lesions, but the insurance companies basically given every reason to avoid giving you the money you need for your healthcare. And because there's now that middleman, hospitals now charge far more for individual care, cost the person more, you're less likely to get care, all of these things. So your taxes are higher, but you're paying less in health insurance and you're paying less in hospital bills as well. So the only possible argument, okay, I don't want to pay for health insurance. I don't want to pay for healthcare. But those people are in a very fringe minority, and those people are seriously leaving themselves at risk by doing so. You think your health is fine, you find out it's not. So I would, a single payer system is by far the best. So let's then go on to, I think, what's the most difficult Actually, let's go on to education. So I'll leave social services for last. Education. See, education's really difficult because people should be able to pay for a private education, right? It's like here in the UK, we have a single payer system. You can still pay for private healthcare. You should still be able to buy your way into a great school, right? But there are a few major problems. So there are a few major problems with the way America does it, and how I think here in the UK is education is a requirement in society now, because most jobs are from corporations and companies now. We don't live in the old days when it was, the factory down the road, or the local shop. But we don't live in that day and age anymore. You work for a company, and companies want the best. And especially if you want to work your way up, because I know that's something right libertarians really care about. It's everyone should be able to work their way up. It's very difficult if you don't have any qualifications, so you have to go through school. You have to go through college and go through university. That's needed. But that costs money that some people don't have, so some people have to stop at college in America. Some people have to stop at university in the UK because they don't want to bury themselves in student loan debt. Now, I'm for free university, so I suppose that's something I should make clear. And education should be paid for, because, and again, it's a case of you're paying a little bit in taxes, but all of the children in the country now have access to good education. You're not subsidizing schools. I'm also against religious schools. It should be obvious from my atheism. Secular, intelligent schools, and also a big thing is, again, quality is higher when they're answerable to the people by being part of the government than being answerable to money and education. Let's take Trump University as the prime example of that, where there's no actual thing to it. It's complete bullshit. There are schools like that. There are universities like that when you do it only for profit. And that's how you get these Marxist lecturers. You don't. You get these ridiculous people who are intellectuals and lecturers at universities because they're only in it for the money. They're not in it to create the best possible outcome. Okay, so go to social services, because that's the controversial one. Should we give homes to the homeless and so on? Well, see, whilst for a short period of time, I was like, actually, no, I think social services are kind of difficult. But then I realised something. If you haven't got a house, how the fuck are you going to get a job? If you don't have money, how are you going to make yourself presentable for a job interview? Some people are homeless through no reason for that. People go, well, those people are failures. Actually, no. There are people who just, their employers don't pay them enough. They lose their job. You get people who fall really ill, can't pay their rent, get evicted. There are plenty of reasons why someone might, become homeless. Some people become homeless straight out of home from abusive households, I know someone actually who's been through that exact experience, and that person then becomes dead weight in society. That's the person who then has to, the government has to pay for the healthcare. The government has to clean up after them after they've been sleeping on the streets. The government has to be the one who helps them when all of their stuff is stolen because they've got nowhere safe and secure to keep their belongings. It costs far more to have someone homeless to have them on social services. And not only that, it means that person is then a productive member of society and contributes to the economy, which is, it brings down unemployment, which means that the economy is more stable, less likely to crash. And here's the thing. is a lot of left-wing policies actually mean that you're paying higher taxes, but paying less money. And if you've got more money, if you are in the high-end middle class, lower, the low-end high class, you have money to be comfortable, to have luxuries, And maybe these social services aren't helping anymore. You pay for private education, or there's been proven that private education is actually inferior to public education. All of these very basic things. You don't get to. No, try to find the right way to phrase this. It's a difficult thing to phrase. You can afford to pay for your children. You can afford to pay for yourselves, to have luxuries, holidays, to do what you want with your money. But your taxes are like fraction higher. But you also have less homeless people in the streets. If you ever come into a financial crisis, one of your children has a horrible accident, then all of that is paid for. You know that your family's future is secured. Your roads are better kept, your bridges are more stable, you're less likely to suffer from a public accident. Your police are less likely to abuse the people in your community will be cleaner. So even for those people have all the money to buy what they want, their lives are improved by left-wing policies and left-wing use of taxes and left-wing taxation. And for everyone below them, these are fundamental to the way they live. And not only that, but all of this stabilizes the economy. A stable economy is everything. Stable economy stops crashes. A stable economy means that your life is more secure. A stable economy slowly drives down unemployment as companies and corporations feel more comfortable investing in your country, area, region, state in America. So it really is a case of benefits for everyone, and yet right-wing people who want to scare you go, well, you have to pay more taxes. Well, for most people, you end up paying less money. Your future is more secure. And, when I've got to this point, some have gone, well, you're a socialist then. No, I believe in hybrid economics. Social, capitalist, hybrid economics. It's exactly what they use in the Nordic regions. And regardless of what you say about their social policies, which I disagree with, if you disagree with them on immigration, that's fine. But on economics, left-wing economics is better for you, your future, and your family. I'd like to thank you for listening. I hope that you've learned something, or maybe you have a criticism of me, leave it in the comments. I know I usually only get about 8-11 views a video, but a subscriber as well. I would love my first subscriber. I haven't had one yet. And thank you for watching.